Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Of course.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back, members of council and staff. For those that are joining with us virtually, we welcome you. If you're here in person, I would ask you to please ensure your communication devices are either shut off or put on vibrate, please. It's Wednesday, February the 26th, and today I'd like to recognize National Pink Shirt Day. This is a day we honor diversity, kindness, and the power in all of us to make a positive difference. Pink Shirt Day is held annually across Canada and the world. It raises awareness about bullying, encourages individuals to stand up against hate and discrimination. Before we begin today, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact that our flag was flying at half-mast for the last week. We recently lost a former councillor, former deputy mayor, in the persons of Donald James Nelson. Don was not only involved in municipal politics, but also served his community as a businessman, a member of the Wyoming Lions Club, Wyoming Legion. I would ask everyone in the room, if you're able, to please stand as we observe a moment's silence in his honor. Cherish his memory in our hearts. Thank you. I would like to remind everyone that this meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and the air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all of life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to please declare it at the appropriate time. Council, let's go to item number 4 on the agenda. This time I'll turn the chair over to the deputy.
Well, I'd like to ask the mayor to make a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.
I'm just about in panic mode though, because this thing hasn't, I can't bring up my agenda.
Rose up, please. Well, this evening, before we begin our regular council meeting, we have a couple special presentations we'd like to make. As we are all aware, the town recently became owners of the plaza at Reese's Corners. And publicly, we would like to sincerely thank Mr. James So and his family for considering the town when the decision was made to sell the property. This acquisition gives us the opportunity to enhance and further develop our plans for the Reese's Corners area. Tonight, we would like to recognize the generous contribution that Mr. So and his family have recently made to our wellness center. The wellness center has become one of the most important facilities within Plympton-Wyoming. Just a few weeks ago, we're proud to announce this primary care facility was the recipient of extended funding from our provincial government for the next 2 years. With over 600 residents visiting this site per week and operating 5 days a week with extended hours on Monday and Thursday nights to 7:30, this facility has certainly become a cornerstone of our community. The So family has generously made a silver donation, and their generosity will enable us to make some renovations to the building so more patients can experience the care and the compassion they need without having to experience life in the emergency room. Mr. So, to you, David, and your whole family, we say thank you. It's my pleasure to inform you we will be sending you a certificate of appreciation, which is such. And at the same time, we will be recognizing your donation and placing your name with this plaque on the wall of our donors within the facility. Council, please join with me as we show our appreciation to the So family. Mr. So or David, is there anything you'd like to say at this time?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I just have just a very short remarks. Thank you very much. For 35 years, our family has shared many meals together with existing councillors and the previous mayor and the current mayor, and discussed many options for the Reese's Corners property. We're very happy that the town can use this property to further the town's interests. We've always remembered the support we received from the town. So on behalf of the So family, we wanted to show our small token of appreciation to the town of Plympton-Wyoming. We hope that the donation can help the town, and we are praying that the Plympton-Wyoming Health and Wellness Center will thrive and flourish for future years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will send you a picture of your name on the wall in the Wellness Center once it's been erected there, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you very much.
Hi, nice to see you guys.
Deputy Mayor says hi to you, Mr. Phil.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
See your airport.
Thank you.
I also have the pleasure this evening of another special presentation. As many of us know, Plympton-Wyoming has become one of the fastest growing municipalities in Lambton County. It has often been said the strength of a community lies in the engagement of its residents. With the influx of new citizens to our community, there are always those who want to become involved and be part of where they've decided to live. At the same time, be able to give back and to continue to make our community a special place to work. In late 2024, the three very special ladies recognized the fact that our town needs to not only promote what organizations we have, but offer those groups the opportunity to talk what role they have within Plympton-Wyoming. On January the 26th, their hard work and organizational skills came to fruition with an open house that highlighted the community-based groups, the organizations. Success can be measured in many ways, and you have proven by your diligent efforts and your hard work that a repeat of this event is certainly warranted. Vicky Ducharme, Sandra Egan, and Carol Ferguson, on behalf of your council and the residents of Plympton-Wyoming, please accept these certificates of appreciation for your contribution in helping make Plympton-Wyoming a great place to live. Would you please join me up here? Carol, come on over here. This is for you.
Thank you very much. Kristen's.
Because somebody's gonna
I better shake your hand too. Congratulations. Thank you.
Brianna's job.
So, you know, come on in here, ladies. We'll get a picture taken.
We got show that.
You want
Show our stuff
to-
here.
We'll make sure. Perfect.
Is there anything you'd like to say at this time?
Just that it was a wonderful event. We didn't have a lot of people come, but we certainly learned a lot ourselves of what all different organizations do and how so many people give up so much of their time in this community that makes it such a wonderful community. So,
We certainly appreciate what you did and we look forward to the next step in the
yeah, I guess they're
adventure.
gonna do it again.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Anything from you, Vicky? You know?
I just like to say that this is 47 years that I've been in Plympton-Wyoming. Because our son was born and moved here, and it's been a wonderful community, and I appreciate being able to live in it and to work in it.
Good. Thank you
As a
very-
volunteer now, I don't get paid.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, ladies, for what you've done. That was a great event, and we'll look forward to the next step as we go forward.
Well, thank you.
Thank
all
you.
for this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
When I took.
Now we're going to make eyes.
Oh, good. Sidebar.
Peeling apples right now. Back door will be open.
Yeah.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, council. Let's go to item number 5, any business arising from the previous meeting. Deputy, or sorry, clerk, has there been anything that's been added since then?
Nothing added, your worship.
Okay, item 6.1. Have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the minutes be adopted by council. And those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our planning council meeting minutes of the 27th of January, 2025. Our closed planning council meeting minutes of January the 27th, 2025. Our special council meeting minutes is our budget deliberate consideration of January the 29th. Regular council meeting minutes of the 29th of January. And our closed regular council meeting minutes, January 29th, both 2025. Council, you've had an opportunity to review them. Questions, concerns? And now I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Go to 6.2, moved by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. For the minutes to be adopted by council, and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Be our Fire Executive Committee meeting, November the 18th, 2024. Our Environmental Services Committee meeting minutes of December the 5th, 2024. We have Chairman Wolvette and Chairman Bojan here for those respective committees. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to item 6.3, Deputy Councilor's Report.
Okay, has everyone been busy this past little while? Mr. Wolvette?
No, I don't have anything because we certainly missed the last meeting and I didn't have anything in between, so no report.
So you've been doing nothing. Thank you, Mr. Wolvette. Mr. Van Claveren?
Sure, yeah, some of us have been active. Much activity on the drainage front. with meetings involving the Annette, Gallimere, and Stonehouse drains, and they're all very productive. If I may, I might add to Mayor Atkinson's tribute to Don Nelson that they are going to be holding a celebration of life to take place in March. And so you'll want to look for that. And that'll be at the Lions Hall, I believe. So just wanted to add that in. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Belgian.
Thank you. Just two things. The events committee did meet since the last meeting. They're back in full gear. Their first event of the year will be the second annual Easter event at the community center in Kamlaki. So there's information about that going up online as we go. The only notable comment, we also had an environmental services committee meeting. So last time when we talked about it, there was some conversation from Jacobs about their contract. So I think the staff report will come from Paul soon, but they did come back. The committee did review the agreement, and they came back to within their agreement for how much or not increase. So that was good news for the committee, and I'm sure that's coming later on from staff.
Sure. And Mr. Leahy.
Yes, the celebration of life is March 22nd, 1 to 4 at the Lions Hall. That's booked already. The only other I have is the rink meeting last night. It was probably one of our most productive, I think. And some, what you call a report or response back to council should be coming in the next couple of weeks anyway, a couple of weeks to a month, whenever Adam get it all together. So we're going to need some direction.
Rodriguez.
Yes, I had a trails meeting. I had a St. Clair Conservation Authority executive meeting where we do the review. And I also participated in a healthy democracy workshop at the Sonia Lantern Chamber of Commerce, which I found quite, I really liked it, enjoyed it, and I'll be attending another one next Monday.
Learn anything?
Yes, because it's there was only myself as a counselor and one other counselor from Sarnia, Adam Kilner. The rest were community members from all different areas of Lambton County and within Sarnia and in business, personal and whatever. So it was nice to have that diverse group there. We're going to jump back to the trails.
Yeah, you've got a big report from Mr. Genders.
Yes, on Saturday, June 7th, is Trails Day. Ontario Trails Council is promoting a mayor's walk on this day.
Good going, Gary.
So I am inviting the mayor.
The whole length, I hope.
I am extending an invitation to the mayor to take a walk on one of our shortest trails in Plympton-Wyoming, which is Highland Glen. So I mean,
It's elevated.
so we don't have to do the whole trail. You just, do we need any special equipment?
No, because I'm in a golf tournament that day. So the deputy will be filling in for me.
Oh.
Well, that's the end of the.
But thank you, Counselor, for the invitation. Other than that, I would be joining with you.
That was nice and smooth.
Actually, I paid money for it too, so.
Okay, is that the end of your?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Deputy. Couple things. I have a few statistics for you that I picked up at the County Council. The new dwellings that we've had in Plympton-Wyoming in 2023, we were listed at 59. And in 2024, we dropped to 2 to 57. And just as a comparison, St. Clair Township went from 30 to 51. And our neighbors to the east dropped from 15 down to 5. We talk about the library and the usages of our library, and I'm pleased to report that we've had an increase in card holders in both the Kamlaki branch as well as the Wyoming branch, and the numbers are up for both the locations as well as the internet use that's being done there. which is pretty interesting, and the programs that have put on by our library. In Kamlooka, they increased the numbers of participants from 361 to 400. And in Wyoming branch from 1,759 to 2,848. So the libraries are being used, and that's a really good sign. Before I go on to the deputy, I'd like to make a comment on our incident that we had at the corner of the Troy line and Mandamin last week. I want to thank Chief Davidson for going to the scene and getting the information so we could operate through the Emergency Management Control Center. I would also like to thank Enbridge for the work that they did to ensure that our residents did not lose their gas, the heat to their homes as they worked around the clock to repair same on a very, very cold night. And to the town of Petrolia, thank you for the offer of using their warming center if we needed it, because if we had to shut down Wyoming, we'd have nothing here. So. And at the same time, I want to thank the Wyoming Fire Department, both stations, for the job they did on this past weekend with the fire that we had downtown. It was contained, not only for the work they did with that, but also for the traffic control. They did a great job on that too. That's all I have to report at this time. Deputy, what about you? What do you got?
No, I have nothing to report because everybody else has reported it all, so.
All right.
But no, I don't have anything to report. The emergency thing was really handled next week.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, let's go to item number 7.1. I have a motion by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Councilor Basie, that the council remuneration claims for January 2025 be approved for payment. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll go to staff reports, item 8.1. The Barnes Drain, section 65 report. Motion by Councilor Wolvette, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated February the 3rd, 2025, regarding the Barnes Drain, section 65 report be received for information. Ms. Cummings is with us. If there's any questions. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Council, let's go to 8.2. Petition for drainage works by the owners of Waterside Estates Development Phase 1. Moved by Councilor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated January 31st, 2025, regarding the petition for drainage works by owners of Waterside Estates Development Phase 1, Lot 7, Concession 10 be received, and that council accepts the petition as filed on January the 16th, 2025. And that council appoints R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated to make an examination of the area requiring drainage and prepare a report on the matter. Once again, Ms. Cummings is here. If anybody has questions, Deputy?
So all the recommendations that are going to be in that report are going to be reflected in the subdivision agreement, right? And they're also, the whole engineer's report is going to be paid by the developer, correct? Your worship?
You got all that? Okay.
Yes, the development agreement does state that the developer must pay for all costs for.
All right, thank you.
Anything further? All those in favor? Carried. We'll go to item 8.3. Moved by Councilor Basie, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Deputy Clerk, dated February the 18th, 2025, regarding the 2025 comprehensive fees and user charges bylaw update be received, and that bylaw 134 of 2024 be repealed. That bylaw 18 of 2025 being a bylaw to establish fees and user charges be taken as having been read 3 times finally adopted, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Questions? Okay, I got Counselor Rodriguez and then Counselor Basie.
Thank you. So I can't support this just because I know we've passed bylaws and this is just an exercise, but when it comes to the false alarm bylaw, the last line about 6 false alarm notice of suspension. I just can't get past that one because the chief made it clear when he spoke to us, chief of police, chief.
It's inspector.
I'm sorry, inspector. That he'll attend any emergency. And he would not go. And further stated, unless we say not to. And to me, that relieved him of liability because they are emergency services. And this places the liability squarely on the municipality if we're choosing to suspend the services to a premise. So for that reason, I just can't support that particular line item.
Okay, Counselor Basie?
Yes, I was on that one, and also we had discussed that the fire department be added to this list. They can have the same, I don't think it's a big issue here, but the moment it becomes an issue, we can't collect any money because we didn't add them to the bylaw.
Aaron, sorry.
No, the fees, excuse me, the fees that are included. The fees that are included from the false alarm bylaw were as approved by council from the false alarm bylaw. So if that's going to be amended, the bylaw would have to be amended first. And regarding the fire department in the schedule, page 14, schedule F for fire, there is a rate included already for false alarms for fire. It's the current MTO rate per hour per vehicle plus personnel costs plus any additional cost for each and every call, whether they're malicious or mechanical.
Even better, thank
So
you.
they're already in there.
Counselor Bolgen?
Yeah, thank you. Just go off Councilor Rodriguez. I would like to see that taken out as well. I think I don't even think we should have the ability to even threaten taking away someone. So perhaps it's just 5th and consecutive alarms. Leave it there. I don't even see how we would have the power to suspend someone's police response. So I'd like to see that piece taken out as well.
Okay, thank you. To my left, Counselor Wolvett?
Yeah, I would just reinforce the fact that I cannot support those words, and they're neither in red, line 27. I don't support any of it, to be quite honest with you. I think this is an OPP responsibility, but bylaw has been passed by the council, so I don't have much choice there, but I most certainly go by the words that Councillor Rodriguez said, that the chief himself said, we will be responding to all emergencies regardless. So if those words were taken out, I would have no choice but to support the rest of it.
Thank you. Anything further from my left?
Thank for me, sir. Thank you.
Okay, clerk?
In an effort to get this fees and user charges bylaw through, would you be comfortable in noting as amended on the motion? And we'll amend this fees bylaw before it's printed and signed. But I then will have to come back with the actual bylaw and make that amendment as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem, but if it's mover and seconder, Counselor Basie and Bolgen, but what the clerk has suggested is I answer your questions and you comfortable with that?
Could we not just change A26 that it's 1,400 for every call after that?
Can, but we still have to go back and readjust the old bylaw.
Yeah, so I'd suggest taking A27 out. And then when we bring back the other bylaw, we can make whatever suggested changes are at that time. And then we update the fees bylaw a few times a year, so we can catch that in the next.
Okay.
Counselor Bolgen? Yep. Counselor Rodriguez, you brought up, are you okay with that? Counselor Wolvett?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the motion would be just to pass it as amended. Or we just write in here as amended. I won't reread that if council's comfortable with that motion with as amended added to it. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. 8.4 Ontario Trillium Foundation Capital Grant Project Recommendation. Motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated February the 21st, 2025, regarding an application for funding to the Ontario Trillium Foundation Capital Grant to replace the field lighting at Canton Park be approved by council. And I believe this report had gone to the Parks Board already, is it not? From there. Any questions on this? Okay, I got Councillor Wolvett, then Councillor Rodriguez.
Was there any other areas that were considered for this grant? Other parks in different areas, or just this one park was considered?
Councillor Vaizey?
No, this was at this park only at this point because the lights are failing. They failed all through the Ontario, what do they call? All Ontarios. And further inspection showed that the inside of the cement posts are scaling to the point where they're needs to be replaced. So I think they all got inspected as far as the heads, for LED and all that kind of stuff, but for this one specifically, because of the posts, it jumped the cost up
I didn't think
significantly.
we replaced those posts, those big cement.
Long before I got here.
Yeah, I thought we had done those at Canton Park, but for some reason.
The posts are drawing near to 50 years old.
Yeah,
The lights on the posts are about 14 years old.
yeah. Since I've been here, for sure, the lights were replaced. I remember we had an issue with the fire truck using the ladder to get up to them. So,
Yes.
okay, all right, that explains it, the cement posts. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Rodriguez.
So it noted that it has an additional $100,000 that would need to be taken from the infrastructure fund, should the grant be approved. I don't remember seeing that in the 2020 current budget. Would that just go into the 2026 budget for approval for the extra 100,000? Because this is a capital, would normally go through budget. Oh. We should be asking.
Treasurer, could you comment on that?
If you're looking at her.
It's not currently in the budget, so it would need to be put in the budget. It's gonna happen this year, but maybe it's happening. When's it actually happening?
I'd have to talk to Paul to see when the deadlines were for construction.
It said 12 months. So 12 months, it had to be done, and the deadline for the application is March 5th. So that's why I was asking, would it have to be?
Majority of the work would have to be in the 2025 year.
Okay.
So those funds would have to be brought into the budget. They would not affect your overall budget because you're not using tax dollars, you're using reserves. But that would have to be put into the budget for the current year.
Right, so during budget deliberations, should we be noting that? So that,
Typically do, however, typically budget is passed by now, and we didn't get this notice out until after the budget had been published, so.
we have an opportunity. Okay, perfect.
Further questions? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried.
Yeah, we already passed it. Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
You don't get the grant. You're still going ahead with the project?
We'll have to try, because
Because of the,
I think we're at the posts that.
The understanding I was given, not in this calendar year. We would only move forward with in this calendar year if we get the grant. But in near future calendar years, we do have to move forward with this project.
yeah, sorry to interrupt there.
Okay, item 9, bylaws. Clerk, no item at this time. Okay, let's go to item 10.1. I have a motion by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bojan. The council received a letter from the Lambton County Regional Trails Committee dated January the 24th, 2025, regarding the Howard Watson Trail connection between Sarnia and Plympton, Wyoming, and the council supports the request to the Lambton County of Lambton for pedestrian crossing improvements. Council, just a little history on this for you. Council Rodriguez and I had a discussion about this letter. I suggested that you create it, it comes to council first. If we're happy with it, we endorse it, it can be shared and then moved on to county. It always looks better if your council does support it, and we wanted to make sure that we had that support to get us some credibility and help Councilor Rodriguez move it through. Now, I do understand, Councilor, that there was a delegation from county at maybe at your last trails meeting. Do you have any, I think this was discussed briefly or something. Do you have an update on what the outcome of that was?
There were some unusual visitors to the meeting, yes. I suppose due to this letter. Where the city of Sarnia and the county of Plympton have been in the works to make updates to their trail system, which would cross through the roundabout. So they were looking for support to support whatever it was they were doing, but they weren't able to provide anything to support because they don't have it documented yet. Because I had asked, could I bring something back to council so that we're all on the same page? They said they weren't at the point where they could even reach out to our CAO to let him know. And what I found interesting at the meeting was, in the end, this document supports. Obviously, it's on the same page of what they're doing, so it supports and it reaffirms what we wish to see happen. What I did find interesting is that the Mr. DeLine from the county informed me that pedestrian crossings are paid for by municipality. Because normally municipalities own the sidewalks. But in this case, the trail is owned by the county. Mr. De Silva, when I spoke with him, stated that Matt DeLine told him that the county would be paying, in fact, for their crosswalk, that portion of the crosswalk. So they are planning to do that for the 2026 budget next year. So hopefully something will be coming to Mr. De Silva and Mr. Sabansky at some point this year. We'll see more.
Everything.
Yes, it certainly is.
Are there any questions for Councilor Rodriguez on this letter? Councilor Wolbeck?
The only question I would have, since just painting lines, does it have to wait till 2026?
Well, I don't necessarily think it was going to be just painting lines. I think they had some very glorious plans in place. Because you can do more elevated type pedestrian crossings where you actually put islands in the in the middle of the road of each of those roads. That kind of gives a breaking point. So I really don't know because they didn't have, but it sounded like, I do think they mentioned it's not just going to be painting lines.
It's more than just lines, okay.
You know, they definitely need to do something there because the people passing there, you know, they don't know where to look. And drivers are just going around there and all of a sudden there's somebody in front of you.
Exactly. There's no visual guidance.
And then they have bushes in the middle of it too, you know, that's really smart. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything over here? No, no other questions for Councilor Rodriguez?
I had a few questions, but I think they're premature, but I do have one, I think that, do we get naming rights on the rest of the trail?
Well, so that did become part of the conversation as well, because there was quite a fuss about that they didn't want to own the trail. The county generally doesn't own trails. They support trails in municipalities. This is the only trail that they have, and they have no desire to do anything with that trail. The last upgrade that was done to it was actually done by an organization who provided the funds to upgrade those trails all the way through Sarnia and through that stretch, which was, do you remember that? When they re-gravelled it all, it's probably like 7 years, 7 years ago. So they're completely uninterested in it, but I communicated very well that this population in this community is very interested in that trail and has a big desire to use it. And we've had people in here asking for a crosswalk from that Fleming and Lakeshore area. There is a large desire to use that trail. And I start off by saying this is just one aspect of what needs to be fixed in that stretch. So.
Is Nettie's way taken?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
We say
Yeah.
Eddie's Trail.
Nettie already named it. She named it the Trail to Nowhere.
It does, it goes nowhere, it just stops right at Kentucky.
Council Lovett.
Didn't we already name that trail?
Yeah,
Yeah. We named it after, but.
well, it was Hyde, something about
Hyde,
Captain
Dr.
Hyde or.
No,
Captain.
it did not.
Captain Hyde.
You, this council, I'm sorry, if I may, this council approved a couple of names, historical names, that they wanted the county. You don't have naming rights because you don't own it. So you have to submit your wish list to the county. The county updated their policy where they generally do not want to name anything after a person. As we've seen over the last couple of years, a lot of skeletons have come out of closets with some names and caused some kerfuffle. So they have now steered away from that. They prefer names to be in keeping with the surroundings of the area.
So the Trail to Nowhere is perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Remember the discussion on the name, but thought it was a done deal. Fellow councillor wanted it, so.
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Rodriguez, for that, and thanks for staying on top of it. Good job.
Yeah, thank you for your support.
All those in favor of that motion? Sacred County. Okay, let's go to item 10.2. Motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan. Correspondence from Alton Estates Winery, dated February the 4th, 2025, be received. Council, I'm sure you've had an opportunity to read this correspondence. And I know we've had some discussion on it. Books, just a one-on-one discussion. And I want to ask the clerk, what is our legal aspect? Where do we stand as a municipality or council on this, clerk? If I may.
Sure, your worship, for you. In the research that I've done on this topic, there isn't an ability for council to regulate flags on private property. There's a Ontario Divisional Court ruling, believe it was 4 years ago now, in regards to a Confederate flag on private property. And the decision of the court was that you can regulate on public property, on town property, but you cannot on private property because this suppresses or denies the freedom of expression of people. So I did find a legal opinion that was provided to another municipality regarding this Ontario Divisional Court ruling, and in my preliminary research, that's what I've found. So we can't really make any bylaws to regulate when there's already a divisional court on private property. Correct. It is on the manager's radar that we would like to bring a bylaw forth for regulation on public property.
Okay.
It's gonna come forward hopefully this year. But there's nothing we could do on private property without going against case law that's already had precedents set. Okay.
Councilor Van Claveren.
You. I understand that. Do we, or should we, or I think we need to explore bylaw on flagpoles? we have a responsibility to ensure that flagpoles are, like any construction project, is done to a code, a certain standard. We don't want flagpoles falling down. We don't want them denigrating the flag by leaning to one side or the other. We don't want them falling on anybody. And then further to that, what about, you know, if somebody's putting up a flagpole, do we ask for permits? Are they needing to come see us at the office and invest in a permit to do so, and then provide drawings or something, measurements, that type of thing? Setbacks ever, obviously, nothing like this ever been explored before, I'm sensing. But is that something that we have a responsibility to explore?
You're referring to like on private property, Counselor,
Mhm.
or on municipal?
On private property, yes.
Yes.
I'm not aware of flagpoles being regulated in the building code. Something staff could look into if council directs us to do so. Even if they were regulated, I'm not sure if we could require a permit, which could essentially say yes or no. Then we would be going against the same sort of, like, where's that criteria? What's yes and no? And then how do we choose that? And then again, we're going against the charter human rights, right? So, but we can look into whatever council sees fit. I haven't come across any permit that's had to regulate anything like that before, so I'd have to do some research.
You okay for now?
For now, thank you. Yeah.
Counselor Bolgen?
Thank you. Yeah, because I mean, I guess the evidence is there. We can't have any impact on content. I guess going off of Councilor Van Claveren, perhaps if we look into it, I would see it more possibility within our existing sign bylaw. If there was, we have setback requirements for signs and banners. It says specifically in our sign bylaw that does not include flags. But if staff are going to look into something, perhaps it's if there's a way to incorporate flagpoles into a setback requirement from property lines.
Thank you, Counselor Basie, then Counselor Rodriguez.
Yeah, just going off of John, I know when I put the flagpole in at the fire hall, it was a purchased engineered flagpole. And it came with, like, I think it's in there 6 feet deep with rebar and the whole bit. So that there's really not a whole lot of weight to it, but how do we know any of that is being followed without somebody going and looking, or at least getting drawings that, yes, we've conformed to? I just stick a pole in the ground and then put Walmart flag on it. Oh, it's gonna go somewhere. So yeah, it does have the opportunity to hurt or damage, I would think. That'd be some kind of.
I guess, sorry, Mike.
I can't think of the word, but yeah, they're something to look into.
Thank you, Counselor Rodriguez, the deputy.
Thank you. And I appreciate, in the context of what those divisional court rulings were, I think, restricting this whole thing to just a flag, you know, even if you could restrict flags or banner or whatever, people use different objects to send their messages. So you remove one, there'll be something else the next day. So in that context, I believe the sign bylaw would be the tool in how somebody is advertising. I think in the context of flags, it's being used for a different purpose. Flags can be used for advertising. Flags can be used for personal viewpoints. And I quite frankly think flags should be non-exempt on your sign. It should be added in the context of advertising and some sort of definition of that. Because the true intent of a flag is not being used here, or true definition. I would also like to see see, if a flag is being used for a personal viewpoint, not to restrict freedom of speech, but to give it a timeline. I think it should be temporary in nature. It's like your next door neighbor walking over to you every day and saying F Trudeau. At what point do you want your neighbor to stop coming over and telling you that thing? So the sign is having the same effect, that personal viewpoint.
Just to pause right there with the personal viewpoint, what is found offensive, you're getting into legislation in regards to harassment, which is definitely outside our jurisdictions. We want to be careful where we regulate because there is criminal code and that would regulate those kind of activities.
So on that note, I think it all should be added into into the sign bylaw that we strictly prohibit the use of any profanity on signs that can be reasonably seen by the public. I think that, and then I agree with setbacks. Setbacks should be in place as well. Because if that structure did fall, it would fall on the neighboring property and could cause significant harm to somebody, no matter what the structure is, whatever it is. So I think in that context, we should be able to municipally set standards of, at least if nothing else, the use of profanity that can be reasonably seen in the public.
Mr. Szymanski?
So we will need clear direction, but just a little caveat to that. If we're looking at a public safety scenario where we're regulating it to ensure that it does not cause a potential issue if it falls or does not cause a sightline hazard, we can easily look at it through that lens. There may be provisions out there. We may want to get that reviewed by a lawyer, but if we're able to find information, we likely won't. Now, with the content stuff, though, we're entering upon a different world. So if we are to ask for any regulations in regards to content, I would highly encourage council to seek their own legal opinion on that, to ensure that we are not treading in areas that we're legislatively not supposed to. So right now we have, it's obvious you want more information, and that's perfectly great. But we have two sets of information currently being looked for: structural matters, looking at the structural integrity and the public safety, and content. So I don't know if it's best to make two motions or how to go about that.
For me, I'd like to add that third one. We've exempted flags in sign bylaw. It's the use of flag outside its intended use, because anybody could stick up flags for advertising, anything, and you have no bylaw for that. So I really think that needs to be added in, because flags culturally and traditionally are now being used outside their intended form, and we have to adjust to include that.
I think that falls into both aspects, and we could look at that. But again, you're regulating content, whether for advertising purposes or otherwise. So that's something that is legally more complicated than just structural content.
Okay, fine. That's a gray area that maybe we need to look into more, but I still go back to, I'm pretty sure the use of profane language can be prohibited. That can be, like, I'd like to look at that further for sure.
Language that infers profanity. In case of
This one doesn't.
Mr. Alton's neighbor, it's a sign. It's not the complete four-letter word. Implication is there. The brain plays tricks and you don't even see what the, so incidentally, I like how you didn't just write a letter of complaint, you provided a bit of an option. That's pretty cool. Yeah. We may never use the option, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very impressive.
Council Deputy, you're not voting.
Yeah, probably you're not gonna like my response. However, like, we can regulate all we want. That doesn't mean that, like, we're gonna have to monitor this, we're gonna have to have a bylaw enforcement officer, just because one person is being obnoxious, you know, we gotta spend all sorts of bucks when it possibly could be, not be,
I don't think you want to say that, Deputy.
oh,
Live.
oh, well, I guess I'll be quiet then. No,
I think we know.
that's a bylaw. We're gonna, you know, because, okay, it's nice to have a flagpole that's legal and all that, but this person looks like there's gonna get around it anyway, no matter how many regulations we put in place. And then we've done it for the whole town. Anyway, I'll stop because what I want to say, I don't want to have in the independent.
Okay, Councillor Bolgen?
I think, yeah, and I just want to, I fully sympathize with this situation specifically. But when we're talking about paying money for legal advice, the case law is already there. I mean, profanity in the Confederate flag, for example, that's equally as offensive. And there's case law that says they still couldn't do anything about it. So I would tread cautiously to spend money on a legal advice when case law exists already, when we can look at other alternatives in terms of setbacks for safety of a flagpole or whatnot. I just don't see a world where a municipal government has jurisdiction over a charter right, whether we like it or not. If that was the case, OPP could do something. OPP can lay charges for harassment. They can lay charges for discrimination. They can lay charges for those things. So if the OPP isn't doing anything or able to do anything, we certainly can't. And I just, again, as much as I don't like the situation and I sympathize for the business, especially from the content perspective, I think we're going to spend money on legal advice, pay a few $100, $1,000 and just get, here's links to the case law that our clerk has already pulled up. So that's my concern when it comes to trying to regulate content on a flag.
Councillor Vacy?
For this situation, I think it's just a sign put up saying this is not our flag and point to it
That's good.
and leave it there.
That's good.
Never let the laneway, and I say, poor taste is poor taste. You can't pick your neighbors. But it has come up with my 4-year-old learning to read and asked me, not this flag, but one just like it, what it said, because she couldn't understand the leaf is not a letter. So, you know, it is poor taste.
Councillor Rodriguez?
So I did have a question when I drove by there. There's a tree line and then it's open space and that's where the flag is. And then you have the drainage easement. In between that tree line and the drainage easement, is a fence allowed to go up there? In that portion of land to define the two properties?
So if you'd like to respond to that, you may.
So I don't know the answer to that. We put a set of posts, just the orange, saying this is our property line. I'm sure if we did a survey, we could put up a fence and define it better.
Right. To know where your property line is?
Yeah, that would end up being a few thousand per survey just to do that. So it's not so much, doesn't offend me, but it offends a lot of our people driving by. I field a couple of calls a day, emails. A normal social media post I put out there gets 100 hits, whatever the likes, or this particular issue gets 1,200 every time I do it. So it's definitely something out there. I appreciate the debate and I don't know whether we'll ever get there. It would be nice to see a method at least that we could say, look, this is offending the community. A petition we give to council and say, look, ask this to be removed. That's an option. The bylaw was just kind of something I threw out that sounded good. I don't really mind how we do it.
Okay. So, Also, what I'm hearing is that we would like to, if I'm right, we'd like to maybe defer this and have staff come back with a report. Mr. Sabansky?
Correct me if I'm wrong, clerk, the motion is just to be received.
Correct.
The second motion can be passed, providing direction on what to bring back.
So council laws, as long as we're all clear, this deputy, sorry.
Yeah, well, I did like Mr. Vasey's suggestion, like, could that not be done for a while, and then if there's no positive response on that, well, he suggested putting up a sign very close or at the front, but that, please ignore that sign.
We actually had that for 6 months,
Oh,
7 months.
you have that already?
I've got that big
Oh, sorry.
advertising sign. Every so often I say, look, talk to Rod, this isn't our political sign.
Yeah, okay,
And he does get phone calls.
good. I mean,
Okay, council, just so we're clear to move this along, this is to receive the report. And there'll be a second one if you want for a motion to. Okay,
So I think there's enough consensus to say to look into the regulating the location and construction of flag poles.
Do we have to narrow it to a flagpole? Because they can literally put up anything, not just a flagpole. Any signage?
Signage is under a sign by law. Partially, and then anything above a certain standard is through the building code. So we don't. Where do you start and stop then? If we're starting with flagpoles, I might need a list of things that we'd want to look to regulate in that sense. If we want to go further, that's why I suggested flagpoles.
like portable signs, those ones.
If I may, the sign bylaw already has that definition. So it would just include flagpole and everything else that's already there.
Right, but we have to investigate whether or not that is reasonable to incorporate that into the sign bylaw either way.
Could we make that a first motion? We make that a motion that you investigate if we can include elements of the flag into the sign bylaw?
Your worship.
Yes.
So I have the sign bylaw up here. I don't read it as it being excluded. Alex, is there another spot I'm missing?
Yeah.
So I just read banner. A sign of non-rigid material displaying a message in words or symbols, because further in the bylaw it speaks about a banner hanging over a street for an event or a market, and it just says but shall not include a flag. So that's differentiating a banner and a flag, but I don't see that it excludes flag. So even if we looked at the sign bylaw for this situation with a flag, it still doesn't give us, it's not hanging over town property or obstructing a view, or there is no teeth. There's no approval required unless it's a certain sign or size, sorry. It can't cause traffic hazard. It can't be adhered to the municipal utility poles. Like there's, even if flag was in there, which I kind of feel it is, there's nothing in here to stop it.
Sure.
Because flags on private property, as of these decisions in court, we can't regulate.
I really think we're gonna be going to a lot of staff time to come up with no solution.
Unfortunately, even if we,
And I would like to see a solution, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we're gonna get one without. I just don't think we're gonna get one.
even if we did explore other ways that people can
Yeah.
put up flags, we're never gonna cover all of them, and then we cover 100 and someone will find the 101st way to hang a flag. Like, I just don't know how we cover all cases. Someone will find a loophole, right?
In your conversation with other municipalities around, do they experience anything like this?
No, I did ask our clerks group and nobody had anything. And then the research I did online kept coming back to there was no private regulation, private lands regulation, it was all on public lands. It's that crossing the line of you're suppressing or denying approval. And then, right, so, and then how do we decide what's offensive? Someone might have a flag because they really love
And I can very.
show, a TV show or whatever. Yeah, we can't say that.
Yeah.
This level of government cannot say. There was talks on there about bringing these concerns to a federal level. right? Well,
It's a very thick steel pole.
Oh, oh, well.
sorry, I have direction.
So if I was just. Someone in a business in downtown Wyoming has a sign up that says F-bombs and whatever else they want to say. There's no problem with that. Oh, maybe because it's commercial versus private.
It's-
Okay, what if
yeah.
there's a house on the main street in Wyoming? That does that? Are you okay with that every single day, your children and everybody?
With it.
The profanity portion of it, I feel like, I feel like it should be OPP, honestly. I agree with you.
Yeah, and maybe that's not offensive to some people. Right? And how do you pick?
That's right.
Part?
The amount of times I've heard it, it doesn't sound like it's offensive.
This is the thing where the opinion, offensiveness and how people feel that is not something we can regulate. Everyone has a different opinion and freedom of speech. It's not something we can include in our bylaw.
We are gonna talk at a later date about municipal property.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's on our list of things to do for the year.
So I guess in light of that.
No, but I think it's been a
Not funny.
really good discussion that we.
Very much so,
To
yeah.
this.
We aren't the first to have these conversations and nobody could get any further ahead with the private solution.
Could our fine ratepayer send another letter if it persists for a year from now, or 6 months, or 2 years, or? And we can revisit it?
Sure. Nothing stopping that.
I appreciate the conversation.
Great.
You're doing a great job though on Facebook.
Thank you.
All right, just going back, council, I have motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that correspondence from Alton Estate Winery dated February 4th, 2025 be received. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to item number 11, correspondence recommended reading and routine approval. Motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that the correspondence items A to G related to recommended reading, routine approval, and information items be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. Beginning on my right, Councilor Bojan, anything from you?
I don't want to pull anything. I just want to draw attention to SLEP looking for board of directors. It'd just be nice to get some rural representation or more rural representation on boards like that. So I just want to draw attention to that. It's till April 7th to apply.
Sounds like you're volunteering.
That's what I was just gonna say.
This is the tone of his voice.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Councilor Basie,
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilor Rodriguez,
Yes, thank you. So item D, the standardizing trail signage that came from Atlantic County Regional Trails. I don't think it was intended to be put under recommended reading. It was intended to possibly go to public works staff or who would be in charge of some trails and Parks and Rec in charge of other trails for their discussion and consideration in an effort to create universal trail signage throughout the region.
well, maybe it could go there, but I think it's good that we know about it.
Yes.
And this is a good opportunity for us to
Okay.
be aware.
Normally that just gets filed, so I just wanted to point that. That it
Well,
wasn't.
maybe, would you like to recommend it goes to Parks and to staff for review? Deputy?
Yeah, so
Oh, sorry, anything else? Councilor Rodriguez?
Oh, no.
Deputy?
So when we get those signs and when we go for that walk, then we can put them up on that trail at Highland Glen.
There you go. There you go. We got, look, we got a date.
Thanks for filling in for me, Deputy.
Yeah, you're very welcome. The Judith Norman Alex Foundation funding applications. Has staff looked at that? Have we got anything in the works that we could apply for there?
So looking through what we have currently in the agenda, we didn't see a clear fit for any of our projects. So there was some discussion amongst the Huron Shores optimists whether or not an application for the proposed recreation facility in Kamlaki would be appropriate. So we had our first initial discussion about that today, and there may be a request to submit an application on that project's behalf.
Thank you.
Yes. Counselor Van Claveren.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. E, which is the QP Industrial Inquiry Commission reviewing Canada Post. So, while it is not government funded, the federal government did give them $1 billion this year to kind of float them along. And it's unfortunate that that they went on strike when they did. And so they mandated them back to work, and I think they, I don't know if that's something we can weigh in on to encourage them to make it a essential or designated service.
So
Yeah.
would you like to, your thought is to maybe pull it and throw a letter of support? Yes, Councilor Rodriguez.
If I could just add to that, I believe Canada Post has 6 or 7 different unions within it. And none of them, they're all deemed essential service, except for this one that went on strike. So you had hundreds of thousands of employees who were all stalemated, which makes it even worse. And it became more costly because of that. Because that flow and all these people can't. So I agree with you that this one needs to follow suit with the rest of them. It makes no sense why they're allowed to exist, because it is part of an essential chain. So I agree.
And I'll also add E, resolution town of Uxbridge, but by Canadian policy. I just like to say simply what we've always said, and that's buy local. Buy local, and then you be sure to buy Canadian. Right? All the wineries? Yeah.
Come.
You're getting shameless bottle, are you?
Would you know a good real estate guy too?
I have got a handful of cards here.
Like to support G and pull it out as well, or?
No, that's just comment.
FYI.
Yeah.
Sales, or sorry. All right, thank you. Councilor Wolbett.
Well, I was gonna bring up F, much familiar with what John just brought up under G, maybe a little bit different. We haven't really discussed in this council the effects that these tariffs may or may not have on us. But saying that, they're coming April the 2nd now, April the 2nd, not March the 2nd, according to.
You got that from the Donald?
Right, from the president today, and everybody kind of, what, I thought it was going on next week, April the 2nd, because he's superstitious for April the 1st, April Fool's Day. Like I say, this is a big issue. For some, maybe this is not a bad thing if we buy, if there's no maybe American wines coming across the border. For some, it may be good, but I think overall for both sides.
Lay it on.
This left side of the room, oh.
To be fair, it's going to benefit some, others it's not, but everything we're looking at in this municipality, and it doesn't matter whether we're going to construct arenas or what we're going to construct, it may have a huge effect on the cost of some of these projects. So, I mean, I'd like to see us support this. Do I support just buy Canadian? No, not the way the world runs. I mean, we're all kind of back and forth. We ship stuff, we buy stuff. So I'm not going to make that kind of a statement. That's just not the way the world goes around. And we need each other worldwide to cooperate. So, and we need to negotiate if there's an issue. But like I say, we need to be well aware of what effects could it have on this municipality and what should we be doing. So I think our council, or pardon me, our staff should go back to the drawing board to find out what are we buying or what are we not buying now or in the future to make sure we're maybe ready if these tariffs are actually imposed. It may have no effect on us, but we need to wake up and find out what are we building and what, you know, because the cost could go way up. So I'd just like to see us on F. I mean, if you want to just read it, that's fine, but we better be well aware of what the effects could be on our budgets and costs of everything. Right down to pens and pencils in our community.
Mr. Savansky?
So I'll take this opportunity to give council an update on our review of our procurement bylaw. It's at with our lawyers for an extended period of time. I've asked them to leave it where it stands due to that extended period of time. We recognize that our procurement bylaw is out of date and does not meet current free trade provisions. So what we will be doing in the coming months is pulling examples from other municipalities, reviewing it and updating it and bringing it to council. We will be looking at Buy Canada provisions as they are circulating around many of the municipalities. And we will consider those provisions when we're updating the procurement bylaw at that time. So there is a number of initiatives that we will be taking and we hope to bring it to council sometime in mid this year.
Thank you.
No, Councilor, that a couple of my fellow mayors have mentioned about to purchase new fire trucks. And they're concerned about the costs. Because obviously, you know, where we got ours from and you had to wait a while too for that, but that's just unfortunate.
Well, and that is a good point, your worship, because a lot of our biggest purchases are equipment, whether it be fire or public works. And I'd hate to say the vast majority of that equipment is not made in Canada. So that would be a challenge to find Canadian made equipment. It's not impossible. It may actually cost us more money to buy Canadian made in that situation, even with tariffs, but it's definitely something we'll keep in mind as we move forward.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Clerk, do you have a couple things you'd like to clarify before we move ahead?
One I want to clarify, Councillor Will, that was F, as in Frank, that you were referring to
I believe.
Yes.
So, yep.
support?
Yes.
Okay.
Flag.
F is-
As per flag. Oh, we can't get away from that.
And I believe Mr. Savansky has something else to say on.
So regards into the Canada Post one, well, if I want to read their whole 1.5-page resolution that they've asked us to support, but it does not necessarily speak to making a Canada Post a essential service and therefore avoiding strikes. It's talking about the collective agreement negotiation process. So I don't know if everyone wants to take 2 minutes to read that or listen to me try to mumble my way through a motion. It's up to yourselves, or we can just receive and we can look at a different motion suggesting that. We can maybe have that authored and bring it on the floor next time for consideration.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Brought that up. Was that you, Councilor Rodriguez, or Councilor?
I'm good with that. Thank you. Yep.
You comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, so the clerk and you will work on the motions.
Sorry, I was reading. I didn't read it. Well, I found the therefore be resolved, so it explains what it is about, if we want to talk about it now, but.
You can.
It's just saying that we would write this letter to the Federal Minister of Labor and the Federal Minister of Public Services and Procurement of Canada, who is responsible for Canada Post, to demand that no changes be made to the Canada Post Corporation Act, Canada Post's mandate for the Canada Post Service Charter, without a full, thorough public review of Canada Post, including public hearings with all key stakeholders in every region of Canada. So that's the bottom line of what this resolution is asking. So if it's very different than what you thought it was, we can bring it back at a next meeting after it's more thoroughly reviewed.
Doesn't marry in very well, does it? No, so I guess we'll just
receive it.
Leave it there. We receive it. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I supported him on it, but bringing back the motion as you've suggested, new motion asking it to be
Designated as a
for this particular union, because all the rest are
aspects of Canada Post being
Okay.
Essential.
in that kind of, that's your.
clerk, how does the new motion come forward? Obviously, there's a notice of motion and then the motion comes forward at the next meeting.
Yep.
So this would be the notice essentially.
Sure.
I'm asking you to tell me yes or
No,
no.
I'm just thinking of timing because we'll have to source out all the wording to get, I want to make sure we get the right thing and not that I don't trust that you know about the unions, but I don't want to be saying the wrong thing in something.
I don't know which
So
union.
it may not be
Next
necessary.
meeting, it might be, yeah, I just need like some time, but we can work on it. So that one's just gonna be received, the one that's in the correspondence, correct? Okay, so.
Too much wine, boys, or what?
Too much wine.
Too much whiny.
Turn down the heat. We need a seconder for this one when you get there.
No, that likes wine over there. All right, a motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that the correspondence item A to G related to recommended reading and routine approval and information items be noted as received by Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly, save except for item F. All those in favor? Carried. And I have a motion by Councilor Wolvett. I'm looking for a seconder for Councilor Wolvett's about the town of Hanover. Councilor Van Clavin. Council support correspondent item F from the town of Hanover regarding U.S. imposition of tariffs on Canada. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's take us to item number 12, new business. Councilor Wolvett.
I do not have any today, sir.
Councilor Van Clavin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Interesting timing with our presentation, or that presentation you made to the folks from the SOs. I wonder if I could request that we have sometime, maybe in the next 6 months, a special meeting to discuss that property at Reese's Corners. We'll maybe explore design, future plans, goal setting, timelines, that type of thing. Is that something we could explore?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Okay, that's all I got.
Councilor Rodriguez.
New business?
Yes.
Yes. New business.
You were three. There were 3 lists.
No, it was just one, but it's hiding somewhere. Anyway.
Councilor Basie has it.
There is the new development is now proceeding for Key Realty at Egremont and Fleming. A lot of heavy construction vehicles and so forth are now invading the roadways of Fleming. But is there a traffic management plan in place? So in particular, where are they allowed to drive those vehicles to get in and out from that new development? I've already had some communications from the public that Queen Street is being used as an which is definitely not in any condition to have those heavy vehicles on, never mind a normal vehicle. So I just wanted to know what their restrictions were for which roads they were allowed to use.
Mr. Sabansky.
I can confirm the subdivision agreement requires them only to use Fleming Road to access the site. If that is not occurring, we will ensure that they are being reminded of such. We have had staff on sites responding to the dirty road complaints, and we will ensure that staff regularly visit the site to ensure that they continue to follow their subdivision or start to follow their subdivision agreement as they should.
So that's funny you'd say that you've already received complaints about the road. Because I was actually stuck in full schmozzle today. And they had the sweeper out. So I can assure you, they are sweeping the road.
Cleaning the road.
But the problem is getting in and out. It's quite muddy and obviously very wet right now. So obviously a lot of that mud is carrying out into the roadway. But the other problem is these are very large, long vehicles that are, I don't know what they're trucking in and out in those big vehicles. Is it gravel or something? Like they're long 18-wheeler length. So they have to drive up, back in, and then to get back out, it would be tremendously hard for them to do that right turn to get back to Lakeshore. And so I can almost see why they're using the Queen Street.
I imagine you're seeing them try to ship in as much gravel and heavy stuff as you can right now, because in 4 days, They will not be able to ship any more in until the 1st of May.
So that's what the fury is all about, that's happening right now.
Half load season starts the 1st of April and runs, or sorry, 1st of March and runs through to the 1st of May. So they'll be restricted to half loads come here shortly. So I'm guessing they're trying to get as much as the granular materials, piping and heavy stuff in how wide it can. I would imagine, yes, there'll be a high level of traffic going in and out of there for the next 4 days. And then it'll just be light vehicles for a number of months after that.
Is that it, Councillor?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Vacy?
I have no new business tonight, thank you.
Councillor Bowser?
Thank you. Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up, because Fleming did revert back to gravel road for a couple days there. Basically. I'm glad staff's on top of it. And I was just gonna, Paul's not here, but I was just gonna say to pass on thanks for the road crews for that back-to-back snowstorm again. I did have a question. Do we have enough equipment and crews available for that storm?
Yes, we're operating at full complement. It takes a little longer in a storm of that nature, but everything does get done eventually. We are well within our level of service at this time.
Perfect. Thanks. So just thanks to those guys.
Yes, thanks for the mound in the end of my driveway, appreciate it.
Comment. The only thing I have is, anybody been down Ketter's Way? They're working on that 3rd phase and the road, it's hard to tell between it and the field. It is a awful mess, so. And I know it's the weather, I know what's frost is going out and we had rain, but it is awful. Had some complaints and I went and looked at it today and not good, so I'll leave that with staff.
I will remind our public works and engineering staff to visit both sites.
Good, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is item number 13. I have a motion by Councillor Vacy, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez. The council moves into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. Item A, personal matters, section 239, bracket 2, bracket B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. All those in favor? Carried. For those that are joining with us virtually, as well as those in person, I want to thank you for your attendance this evening. We will be going in camera, coming out to basically close our meeting. Thank you again.